my friends, welcome to another cosplay making vlog, mayhaps. I am planning to wear or dress up as Diane from 7 Deadly Sins and wear her to Supanova, Supanova. So assuming this video becomes a cosplay vlog, I wanted to let you guys know what I'm doing. Now I haven't actually done too much. All I've done so far is order a bodysuit, which you guys can kind of see here. It does need altering though. I need to put sleeves on it and a collar. I'm wearing skin colored tights, well, my skin colored tights, and I don't know whether I'm going to get some cheap ones. These are ones that I got from Japan and they're very comfy, but I need to draw Diane's tattoo on there somewhere. So I don't know whether to draw it underneath and then have it the tights over it, or have it on the tights, but then that ruins the tights. So that is something that I have to think about. At the moment, I'm also doing a makeup test, which you guys can see. I've just done like a nude lip. I've got some blush on, I've got some eyeliner and some mascara on. I've also just kind of filled in my eyebrows a little bit. Assume that my eyelashes are going to have fake lashes as well when the time comes. But yeah, just doing some planning at the moment. The full outfit will include her bodysuit, some leggings, some boots, hopefully her wrist wraps as well, and her hammer. I do want to create her hammer, so I hope that comes to fruition because I have no idea. I've only got plans at the moment. I've also actually sketched out some plans, so I'll show you those in a moment. So my cosplay plans are in this Zelda book that I got from our good friend Tealful. And I'm going to just show you this page. So this is actually Diane's outfit that I've sketched. However, I've decided, because cheaper options and availability options, I'm not doing her dress. I am instead doing her bodysuit, which is, it doesn't have obviously the little frills at the bottom, but has like, it goes down to her thighs basically. It will also have a collar up the top and some puffy sleeves. I'll insert a picture here so you guys can see exactly what I mean. And then I want to create her arm things. I think I'm going to use foam for the base and then just cover in frills of fabric. Also possibly foam clay glued on as the little grey spiky orb things that are around it. Now for her boots, I'm just going to work with what I've got. I've got a pair of boots, but I'm not sure if they will work. But there are some boots at Big W which I'm looking at buying for future cosplays and stuff, and I think I might create like a temporary little foam bit to put across the boot. Now they will be brown boots, they won't be orange boots like hers, but I think it'll be close enough and it'll match the hammer anyway if the hammer is brown. Next is the hammer. So I've actually designed it here a little bit. I've got broomstick. These little parts here are going to be just foam wrapped around, like sanded and wrapped around the stick. These little orb bits are going to be foam clay and then, well, foil and then covered with foam clay. Same with this bit, same with these bits. I'm assuming this is also going to be foam clay, but we're going to see how we go. This is either going to be a box, or I've actually got some packaging foam left over from our 3D printer, which I think I'm going to cut into just a massive cube and then probably just cover with some extra foam just to make it like paintable, and then just do the rest. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to get some smaller foam, maybe even some foil and foam clay for this part because it'd just be easier to mold basically, but I'm not 100% sure. Now also with this cosplay, I do want Alk to match me for Supanova, so I'm thinking of making him King. For the King cosplay, I'm just going to get 2 hoodies, basically, a light blue one and an orange one, and I'm going to cut them out and put them together. So the hood and this top bit and the part down the middle is going to be orange, and then this bit here, the bottom bit, and the strings are going to be blue. Then he also has some long sleeve shirts. He's got a black one and a blue one, and he's also got some trackies that are black and blue as well. So I think I'm going to use these. In the case of the shoes, I'm thinking maybe I can check Kmart and Big W for some Converse dupes, just some high tops, and then see if I can get away with painting them. They won't be exact like King's boots, obviously, but I think it will do just for like a cozy cosplay for Alk. I did also consider making him his chesty foal, but he said he doesn't want to be carrying around the weapon, even though I would love to have a life-size version of it. So instead, I'm gonna make him a pillow. Basically, I'm gonna get some green fabric, I'm just gonna sew it together, just fill it up with some polyester fiber fill, maybe even some like little leftover fabric bits, foam bits, whatever I sort of have, make it really comfy. And then I'm going to, it depends. If I find green fabric that is close to this design, then I won't have to paint it. But if I just find a bright green fabric, I might just get some green paint and just paint these little details on there before I sew it up. I'm also going to add maybe some little straps to it. So it's kind of like a little backpack, or kind of like got backpack straps on it, so he can carry it around on his back. So when we're walking around the convention, hopefully that will happen. Now that's the plan for the cosplay so far. Another thing that I noticed, I'm going to use my real hair for Diane's cosplay. The only thing is she has bangs, so I'm currently contemplating whether I cut them, but that is a whole other decision. The convention at this moment is in about a month, so we have a month to kill to make these cosplays, so I'm hoping that everything goes well and I don't procrastinate it to the last minute like I have every single other cosplay. Anyway, I think that's it. That's the planning. So we're gonna see how it goes.
My first stop for the cosplay making was, of course, Bunnings to go pick up some hammer stuff.
Looking at paint, I was thinking about that kind of color, the terracotta, or something like this, which is a little bit darker, the bright finished copper rose, but they don't have anything in stock, so I might have to come back. They do have this one, but it's like 20 bucks for wood, metal and more, fast drying indoor outdoor. So I'm thinking maybe I do that and get one of those just to try. I don't know. So I ended up opting for this broomstick, which was $10 instead of $19. It's about 30 centimeters less than the stick. Oh, there's a hair there. It's about 30 centimeters less than the other stick that I was looking at, the piece of dowel. So I think this will be okay, because I think the limits for weapons are 1.5 meters anyway, and this is 1.5. So we're gonna make do with this. I also did end up getting some paint. I got this brown paint. It looks so dark right now, hold on. So it's like a darker brown. I'm gonna try this one first, I think, because her hammer is brown. I feel like that would work. And if not, I got this paint, which is like a rose gold kind of metallic paint. And I'm thinking maybe I can try and put this one as an undercoat and this one as an overcoat, because technically it is supposed to be a big metal hammer. So maybe a metallic finish is what we're looking for. It's also a paint and primer, so we don't need a prime, and it has double the amount of coverage. So I think one can should be enough. I do have some foam, like I think I've already mentioned, from the 3D printer, just like foam casing sort of stuff, like that I should have chucked out, but I'm actually glad that I didn't, because I think I'm going to make the head of the axe out of that. I don't know when I'll start that, maybe tomorrow, because I'm a little tired. I went adventuring, I went to the shops, and then I walked the other way and I went to Bunnings. So yeah, we will see how I go with that.
So this is the packaging foam that we got from our 3D printer, and basically I time-lapsed myself pulling it apart into pieces so I can figure out just how I wanted to construct it for the head of the hammer. I then cut it into equal pieces and attempted to use super glue, but that didn't work, so I used hot glue to put it together. The foam itself was quite porous, so that would be a later issue, especially with the painting. So I knew I had to get other foam to glue on top of it and cover it up so it would be easier to paint. I was basically just winging the measurements as well, just making sure all parts were even, but putting it up against the rod of the hammer so I could figure out just how big I wanted it in comparison to the rest of the hammer. This is when Alk also stepped in to help me put the pieces together and figure out how we were going to put the broomstick into it. And once we had that basic idea, I started to glue it together. Here you can see me putting the 4 sides together. Then I measured out and added the top part of the box using a slightly thinner bit of foam. And then I filled in the gaps with more foam. I also realized that this type of foam was easy to melt, so what I did was I got the hot glue gun, and once all the pieces were put together, I also used a knife to start carving out a hole to begin with, and then used the tip of the hot glue gun to press in and make a hole exactly where I wanted the broomstick to go in. It also meant that there was already glue in that hole as well, so I could put the broomstick inside to glue it.
So what I'm trying to do right now is seal it up a little bit more because this foam inside is very porous. I feel like if I spray paint it, it won't work as well. So I'm covering it with this like 2mm foam, not even, it's like 1mm I think. Foam just so it's easier to paint. And then I'll also put one on the bottom and then cut out the hole so this is completely sealed up. And then I gotta like make indents into the side of it because she has like a kind of like hourglass almost kind of thing on the side of it. And then she has other bits on both sides. So one side has like almost like a cone, but it slants down. And then the other side has like a hammer end. So I'm gonna make those. But I'm gonna make those with foil and I'm gonna make those with foam clay. But right now, I'm just trying to seal this up.
This is me, as I said, just continuing to cover up the porous foam with the 2/1mm thick foam. The sheets were slightly bigger than the blocks, so I did have to glue them on, then cut off the excess strips, and then go back again and seal around the corners, just so everything would stay stuck down. I did do this to all 6 sides, and I was glad that I live streamed it, so I had chat to keep me company. After I glued down the bottom, I was able to go onto the sides and start to mark out where the hourglass shape was on the side of the hammer. I say hourglass shape, it is more so 2 triangles on top of each other, and it kind of looks like an hourglass. I didn't really have a ruler to measure, so I just used this blank canvas board that I had to mark out the straight lines. You will notice that I eyeball a lot of this, so not everything is perfectly equal. Once I did mark out the shapes, I grabbed my Stanley knife and started to cut out the shapes, just removing that top 2mm layer of foam. And then, similar to what I did with the broomstick, I used the tip of the hot glue gun to start puncturing the foam and melting down that hourglass shape. When it was at a depth that I was happy with, I grabbed the triangle that I cut out from the 2mm bit of foam and shoved it into the bottom, so it was completely flat and equal. I did have to remember to do this on both sides, and then I filled in the gaps with some foam clay just so everything was held down, and when it dried it was all smooth and even. And it didn't end up too badly either. There was no sort of technique that I was following, it was just a make up as I go kind of scenario. In the previous stream video, I also mentioned that I was going to make both sides of the hammerhead with foam clay and aluminium foil. However, I decided that I had some leftover porous foam and I would just glue that together and cut it down to shape. Luckily, I had enough for both sides. The only thing was having to carve it down into the right shape and to something that I was happy with, ensuring it was even on both sides, and then figuring out just how I was going to cover it. I could have used the 2mm foam here to cover around the porous foam, however I decided to instead cover it with foam clay, which in hindsight did make it a little bit more rough to paint later on, but it was a quick and easy solution and it got the job done. I did also enjoy how easy it was to cut through this foam, especially because I was just using a kitchen knife because it was the only thing I had that was big enough. After I had the shapes cut out, I decided to go around the outside and along the edges of the box and seal those off with foam clay as well. This was a tedious task because I did try to get it as smooth as possible, but there's only so much you can do when you're working with edges, and once I had completely covered them, I went and covered that with masking tape. just so it would dry flat and straight. Then I spent the rest of the stream covering the end bits with foam clay, as I mentioned before. I did end up running out of foam clay at this point, so I did have to order some more, and luckily Amazon came in clutch. But this is what it sort of looked like before it dried. I should note that foam clay should also be covered with PVA glue to seal it too.
So this one dried. I've just got to sand it down. Apparently foam clay can sand, so I'll try that out, but it looks pretty good, not gonna lie. I've then got to cut out this one, but I feel like I'm probably going to cut a little bit off the bottom of this and then reshape it so it has that middle bit instead of me just using foam clay and foil to attach that, because I feel like that's the right size, but I don't know, it's too long. We will see. And then yeah, this dried, and this in here dried nicely, which I'm happy about. But what I need to do now is unwrap the masking tape to make sure the corners are fine. All right, this is it unwrapped. Yes, it looks a little janky, but I kind of like it because it gives like a welding effect that I assume a hammer head would have with things welded together. Although, oh, that's a bit of masking tape. Get out of here. Although usually it would just be like a, probably like a cast metal, what's the word? Oh my god. You know, when you pour it in and it's already got the shape, a mold, like a metal mold. But yeah, that's fine. That's the head of it done. And now if I put this side by side, you'll be able to see kind of the how it's sort of going to look. So kind of like that, but obviously better because it's supposed to be like glued on. Although this will have a gap because I need to fill in the little blank here, but it's basically the hammerhead, assuming that that is like center, you know? Yeah, it's coming together. Okay, so I've cut these pieces of foam out, which I'm going to wrap around the handle and be these little bits, the foam wrap that I've signaled here. I've already done one. It's not focusing on the stick. However, the joint bit, I might have to cover with foam clay because it does not look like it's completely sealed. However, I am liking the width of it and how it's come out so far. So it just will not focus. But yeah, I'm just gonna do that 4 more times before I add all the other little bits on the hammer. Okay, these bits have been glued and taped into place so it stays. I have also, hi Beanie, I have also glued that stick finally in, so we're gonna let it sit and dry for a little bit. And now we're gonna wrap around some foil. Hi Beanie, cover with foam clay, hopefully. So this shall be done soon. I have basically molded with foil. Sorry, I didn't record that part. Every little bit that is around the handle, and now I'm going to cover it with foam clay. It's coming together quite well. I'm kind of happy with it. I don't know how this is gonna hold up, but I'm hoping the foam clay dries in the shape that I want. Otherwise I can probably sand it back, but it's on the right track, guys. Okay, these bits are now covered in foam clay. I am hoping it dries a lot more cleaner than that, but we will see how it goes. Always happy to sand it down or just, you know, wing it with paint or something when it's done. But yeah, now we just have to wait like 48 hours for it to dry.
48 hours later, it was dry and I had glued the bits together.
Alright, this isn't awkward in the bathroom, but this is to show how tall it is. About 20 centimeters-ish. No, 15 centimeters taller than I am. No, 10 centimeters? I don't know how tall I am, to be honest. But it's taller than me. It's not heavy because it's all foam and like the wooden stick, but it's quite massive. But I'm really liking how it actually looks, so I'm excited to sand it down and paint it. But yeah, getting it done.
Now it was time to start working on King's Chastafol, and to do that I got some green fabric and some paint.
I didn't record any of it, but I just spent a few solid hours painting this. feel like it's more filled in down here. There's quite a few gaps up here, but also I don't care that much. I can go and fill it in next time, but it is getting late. I gotta go to bed because I have work tomorrow, and I'm only half done, like literally half of the size. So gotta figure that out. But yeah, right now just letting this dry, and we will see how we go about touching it up and adding more things later.
The next day, I finished painting the other side of the fabric, and I think it took a total of 6.5 hours all up, just because I was trying to be neat and do multiple coats. Also, fun fact, if you mix fabric softener and acrylic paint, or if you don't have fabric softener, hair conditioner does nicely, you can make fabric paint. While I had time that night, I wanted to start on the sleeves of my bodysuit. One of the things I was super nervous about was altering the bodysuit, and especially adding the sleeves. I'd never done it before, so I followed a YouTube tutorial to try and get my measurements correct. I'll also link that tutorial down in the comments below, so you guys can know what exactly I followed to get the shape. Then to finish up for that night, I added foam clay around the foam of the broomstick. This was just to seal it up in case I forgot. I also sealed around the head of the hammer as well. With 2 weeks until the convention, I was starting to feel a little rushed, so I wanted to get as much done to the pillow as possible. I started to work on the straps when I had my sisters staying over, which I basically made from spare fabric cut from the pillow and some 2mm foam glued inside. I then sewed it all together to make sure that it was all sealed up and strong enough to hold the weight of the pillow. The glue I used was just some PVA glue, it did the job fine. And I also in this time sewed up the body of the pillow. So sewed it into a square, turned it inside out and added a zipper. Once the straps were sewed, it was kind of dodgy looking, but I think they looked okay. And they did the job.
So I went and bought a zipper, and I very dodgily sewed it on, but now I'm stuffing the pillow. I'm then going to hand sew the backpack straps onto them, because I thought that I probably should have done them earlier before I sewed up the pillow. That's too bad, so hand sewing it is. This is the pillow filled with one bag of fluff. I think I'm going to buy a second one though. But hey, it's turning out okay.
Starting on King's outfit, I cut the sleeves off of the orange hoodie I bought and wanted to cut the torso in half as well, or cut it just under the arms. For the blue hoodie, I then cut just under the sleeves of that as well and dodgily pinned / sewed them together. Even though both hoodies were large, they weren't the same size, so the sewing was a little bit weird. I wasn't following a pattern or anything either, but I managed to get them kind of even. I also unstitched the pocket off the blue hoodie as well. King's outfit also includes a blue drawstring, not an orange one, so I took the orange one out of the hoodie and bought a plain white drawstring, mixed up some blue fabric paint, color matched it to the hoodie, and then painted it completely. While that was drying, I cut down the middle of the hoodie and made sure I had that extra bit of orange fabric cut out as well, and I sewed that to the middle where I cut. I also made sure to hem it for a cleaner fold at the front, and I got Alk to try on the hoodie to see if it would fit. And yes, it's supposed to be slightly oversized, so I was happy with how it was looking at this stage. I then returned to my own outfit and cut out the fabric for the sleeves, following the patterns that I made earlier. I then sewed the sleeves onto the bodysuit, and I was absolutely terrified of doing this, but it turned out okay. You just gotta trust the process sometimes. With the help of Alk, I then threaded the blue drawstring through the top of the hood when it was completely dry. Also, a fun little tool to use for this kind of stuff, a crochet hook. I had that thought when we were trying and struggling to get the drawstring through, but it worked just by hooking around the string and pulling it through the hole. The next thing that I wanted to organize was some more polyester fiber fill to fill up the Chastafol pillow, and so I ordered some from Amazon, and I think I used a total of 64 ounces for the pillow.
More fluff, more fluff, more fluff. You can't really tell, but that looks so much more stuffed And that's how we like it. Some really dodgy hand sewing, but the straps have now been added to the pillow. So it should be able to be held, hopefully. I hope nothing tears. Anyway, pillow done. Straps have been added. The last thing that we have to do for Alex's outfit is add buttons. I've already messed up by getting the measurements incorrect, but I've placed them where I want them. I've gone for 5 silver buttons, and I have done the equivalent on the other side for the holes that they're gonna poke through. And yeah, we already, as you guys probably saw, threaded the thread, the pull string, the drawstring, that's the one, through the hood as well. So this is basically done after I sew these buttons on. It was at this moment that I realized I've never sewn a button before, but I did it. It was very dodgy, but I did it. There's one button done. I've also used these scissors to cut a hole in this side, and then what I've done is I lightly got the lighter and I singed the sides of it just so it, like, I don't know, gets rid of any threads. There is one there that I can just kind of see. But that's right, I'm not too fussed about it as long as it doesn't break. I just kind of singed the outsides so you can kind of feel that it's singed. And then that way, I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. We have a button. Now only another 4 more to do. Button sewn on. Alk tried it on. The king outfit is done. He's got his chastifol and his hoodie. Then he'll just need to find his beanie, and then he's just wearing like a navy blue shirt and a navy blue pants underneath. Then he has these shoes, these Converse. They need a little bit of a clean. They're the closest things probably to King's shoes that we have at the moment, and I'm not going to buy and paint some more when we've got some high tops already. Now for me, trying on my outfit, I have cut the neckline a little bit lower because Diane's a very showy character, and I'm also trying on the outfit with the boots, and I'm really liking them. I don't know, I can't really boots. And I've got leggings on, so basically all I need now is to make her collar, add that, which is why I've got this little awkward bit here, attach her collar and paint that, and then I've got to paint her hammer, which has literally been here the whole time. I do need to seal this little bit here, and I keep forgetting to do that. I gotta seal that, and then basically I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna spray it. It's basically ready to go. I of course also need to cut my bangs to match her hair. Also don't mind my hair is oily at the moment. And then yeah, I think she's done. Oh, she also has like a little marking on her shirt, so I gotta paint that. Gotta remember to do those. Okay, last bit of the hammer has been sealed, just this little inside there. It'll take 24 to 48 hours to set, and then I can give it a little sand. And then it's basically ready for painting. I don't know whether I'm gonna paint like a white undercoat. I might still have some white paint left over from the cabinet on these gray bits, just to like completely cover it white before I spray it. Okay, about to paint the bodysuit. I've got this as a flat surface in there, also so the paint doesn't leak to the other side. I'm literally going to sketch out what her design is. It's basically a Y and then 3 dots above it, and it's like right here. So gonna do that now. All right, design sketched out. You can kind of not really see it, and I did mess up a little bit, but I'm gonna cover with paint. So yeah, we'll mix that up now. I have way too much paint, but I've just opted for an orange that's like slightly darker than the bodysuit, just so it stands out a little bit. Don't forget to add conditioner to make it fabric paint. Painting done. I'll outline it, I think, with pencil once it dries, just to make it stand out a little bit, but that's it. Just need to do the collar for the bodysuit and she's done. I think, I don't know. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know, it's coming together. I think it's the tattoos. I need to remember to draw the tattoos on ourselves on the day. But apart from that, outfits happening. I realized I should be recording this, but basically I realized I forgot her arm thing, so I'm making that now. I've basically wrapped foil around my arm here, molded it to the shape of my arm, so my hand pokes out. It's actually currently sitting on a paint can, and now I'm going over with the foam clay to try and smooth it down. When I've completely covered it in foam clay, I'm going to stick my arm through it again and like press down to make sure all the bits and pieces are like smooth, and then I'm going to let it dry and paint it.
I also made these little foam buttons to add to the gauntlet as well. I didn't end up using fabric because I didn't have time to go to the store and pick some up, but I wanted to just paint the foam clay when it dried. It was then time to start on the collar, and I definitely winged this. I cut out 2 strips of fabric in a collar type shape, sewed them together, and then put some of the foam inside to make the collar more stiff. I realized later that I should have used some glue here to keep them in place because the foam actually overlapped when I sewed it, but it was fine because only I noticed. Once that was all done and sewn into place, I then pinned it into the bodysuit because I have commitment issues and was scared to do it, and I wasn't very happy with how it sat. It looked like I didn't have enough fabric.
So I think the collar is too short, so I will either need to extend it with an extra bit in the middle or somehow manage to get the neckline up further so I can bring it closer to the front, because at the moment it just keeps falling back down behind, which is not what I want. And luckily this hasn't been sewn yet, it's only been pinned, but like because the neckline at the back is so low, it's not working unless I add a little bit of fabric at the back just to extend the neckline at the back and then add this on top. But I don't know how that will go.
Here I went live again because I wanted to hold myself accountable and get things done while hanging with chat. It's a fun way to work on things, keep myself occupied, and also catch up with people while I'm doing it. During the live stream, I started to paint a white undercoat on the hammer so it would all be cohesive when I painted it later. But like I mentioned earlier, I forgot to seal the foam clay areas with PVA or Mod Podge, so the painting did turn up a little bit splotchy, which you will see at the end. So heads up for that. It did take me a while to completely cover the entire hammer in white paint, but I got there in the end. After the hammer was painted, I then very worriedly attempted to sew that extra bit of fabric onto the back of the bodysuit. I was lucky that I had some spare fabric left over from when I cut out the collar, so I basically sewed that together. This extra bit of fabric was to act as a buffer between the original neckline and the new collar. However, during stream, I broke a needle on my sewing machine. To be fair, it was an old needle, and the sewing machine did become unthreaded a couple of times. So this was very frustrating for me on top of my panic that I already had because I was terrified about messing up the collar. Eventually, I did get everything to work though, and I did try on the bodysuit multiple times in between sewing things together, so it came together in the end. And honestly, not too bad. It could have been so much worse. I think the absolute worst part about this outfit was that the bodysuit was already a stretchy nylon type fabric that I bought from Amazon, while the sleeves and the collar was just plain cotton, which is not stretchy, because it's what I could afford at the time. Sewing non-stretchy to stretchy fabric is the bane of my existence, and anyone will tell you it is super hard to manage. I strongly do not recommend if you can't do it. After a couple of tries, I did get it working, thankfully, and I realized a lot of the bad sewing was on the inside, so you couldn't really see any of the mistakes that I made along the way. Once everything was finally sewn together, I also realized the inside of the collar was supposed to be white with some details on it, so I mixed together some white fabric paint and painted a few coats on the inside.
Stitched on the collar and painted it. These bulbs are too big, but that's too bad, I guess. I'm just going to paint it and go with those. Hammer is completely painted white as well, ready for an overcoat. Good morning, friends. Just a quick update. I have cut my fringe. It's not perfect, but like it's kind of what I was going for anyway, in regards to the Diane cosplay. So excited that that is now done and sort of over with. I keep like checking to make sure it's all right. It's not completely even and it's not too thick or anything, but I like it. I also like the fact that I can kind of like hide it amongst my other hair if I need to, on days that I don't want to fringe, which is fine. But yes, I am going to be painting the hammer today. I might try and sand it down a little bit, but I will literally be going down to the garage to go and paint it in a moment. I just need to make sure that, I don't know, I have everything ready for it. I feel nervous about painting it even though it's been ready to do for so long. But yes, I'm excited that it's all coming together. We are about 2 days away from the convention. I don't know if I'm cosplaying on Saturday or Sunday because I will have a panel on the Saturday. And yeah, I'm thinking if I cosplay Saturday, it will be harder with the panel and everything, but I'm not sure. I could cosplay both days, but then I'm just carrying around a big ass hammer for 2 days. So we will see what happens. Okay, we're down in the garage and I've got a little paint station set up here. So I've got the hammer and some paint here. I'm just gonna quickly give it a little bit of a sand and then hopefully just spray it. I'm going to use this dark one first. Probably do 1 or 2 coats of this. And it includes like a primer in it, like it is a paint and prime as well, so that's good. And then I've got this one, which is also a paint and prime, but it's also got like double coverage, so there's like 2 amounts in the one can. So hopefully it's just like a coat of each and it should be done. I've also, because of the white undercoat, the foam is sealed as well, so it shouldn't just sink into the foam. I've sanded it down as much as I possibly can. Look, if I wanted it super smooth, I shouldn't have used foam clay, especially with foil underneath, but it's quite smooth, so I'm kind of happy with it, and I'm feeling like the paint will hold the rest. It was getting to the point where I was sanding down to the foil, so I just decided to not go any further, but oh, the light turned off. It should be ready to paint now, basically, so I'm gonna give that a go. I think I'll also need to re-glue this maybe after I paint it, but we'll see.
Please enjoy a little bit of painting ASMR while I take a break from yapping.
So, first coat of paint done. I don't think I'll need to do a second coat of this one, thankfully. So I think I'm just gonna go the metallic over the top of this, but I do still need to paint the top of the hammer because it's currently sitting on it. So I gotta make sure that, yes, it, is covered completely, but progress. So the first coat of paint is done for the hammer. So I'm back upstairs and I'm now painting the gauntlet thingy. I don't know how many coats of paint I'm going to do for this, but I'm basically just passing time so I can go down and do the metallic coat and the top part of the hammer. But I'm excited, things are coming together. I also need to paint some little tidbits onto the bodysuit and sew down the excess cloth. So that is also another job for today. And then I think I might be done. I need to go and get some contacts at some point. So I will take a trip to the shop.
This is some of the gauntlet painting progress while I worked from home.
I've also painted some like grey little buttons where she would have her buttons on here and the crosses on the back. Oh, it's right there. I don't know how many coats I'm going to do, maybe just like 1 more coat for that, and then that's basically done. I'll outline it with a pencil to make it look a little bit darker, but that painting of the bodysuit is done. I know she has like a little clasp here, but I'm probably not going to add it because I don't think I have any material for it. So Came back downstairs just to spray paint the top of the hammer. It's starting to dry properly. I'm wondering whether I should take it out into the sun though, but it's not doing too badly in terms of time. Second coat for this one. Now done.
Here I started painting the base of the gauntlet. I think I color match pretty well.
First coat of paint done. Added the outline with pencil on the collar on both sides. Now the only thing that I need to do for this is sew down this bit of fabric and the body suit should be done. I also bought myself some purple contacts. I did have purple contacts, I don't know where they went, but I got some purple ones and some green ones for Freerin, hopefully for SmashCon. But yes, I'm ready. Literally thinking I'm gonna go down and do a second coat of paint on the hammer now. I will do the metallic one and then hopefully one more in about an hour or so if I leave it in the sun to dry. And then that should be done too. Then of course, while I'm waiting for the hammer to dry, I will go and paint the gauntlet thingy. It needs one more coat. So I think this metallic rose gold basically for the hammer. This one now painted with the metallic. Yeah, you can kind of see that the foam, if it was more flat, it would have looked a bit better there. I'm gonna go over with another coat though, so it should be okay. But yeah, if I didn't want those little bits, maybe I shouldn't have used foam clay. Just came down and painted the top bit, so one more paint in about an hour's time and it should be done. It's a little bit splotchy, but that's fine, I trust. This one is now completely painted and done and dry, so good to wear. Hold on, I'll put it on. I realized I made it for the wrong hand, but I can still fit the right hand in it, so it's just like a giant cast really. But yes, that's basically good to go. I'm just gonna not show anyone this end where it's all like foil and stuff, but yes, the gauntlet is good. The bodysuit is almost good. Got to finish sewing that little bit and then that should be done. Okay, I'm basically going to sew this bit of fabric down, hoping it just doesn't fuck it up. And then yeah, it should be done. I'm just trying to get as much footage as possible to show you guys that I'm doing the things. Quick test with the hair and the collar and everything kind of working a little bit. There are cars outside, but I'm liking how this is looking. I just need the contacts and the makeup, and I don't have my thing at the moment, but it's happening. Did one last spray of the whole thing. All the way out. Now all I have to do is the top bit again when this is dry. So I'll come back in another half an hour or so. Did the last little bit of spraying. So the top is all golden as well. The whole thing is now done. Good morning friends. Today's the day. It's Supanova. First things first, I gotta put contacts in because I can't do my makeup without all the contacts. Both contacts in? Anyway, I'm gonna be crying. Alright, contacts are in. I cried a little / a lot, but blue eyes. Now to do makeup.
I of course couldn't do my makeup without the contacts already being in due to the crying. It happens literally every time I put contacts in, but I wanted to show a little time lapse of me putting together my makeup look. The makeup look for Diane is very similar to what I would wear for makeup on a normal day. I usually just use some concealer to cover up my blemishes, put on some winged eyeliner, a little bit of eyeshadow on the eyelid and below my waterline to add a bit of depth. I use a bright pink cream blush and highlight to make me look slightly sunburnt. Don't ask me why, that's always the look I'm going for when I put on blush. And I of course didn't use mascara because I already had the fake lashes on and I thought they were enough. But I did brush those out a bit and I of course filled in my eyebrows a little bit. Lastly, for the makeup, I also added in a pinky nude lip and some gloss over the top. I very rarely do a full face of makeup using foundation and all of that jazz because I don't always like the way that makeup feels on my skin. It can feel very cakey very easily, so I try to use as minimal as possible but still enough to look pretty cool. When the makeup was done, I used the same cream blush and some eyeshadow to draw Diane's sin tattoo on my thigh, and then I put on the rest of the outfit, including my boots, which I absolutely loved. And then I was ready to go. Finally, this is us attending the convention in our cosplay. Huge shout out to eBubs as well for capturing some videos of us in our outfits. I did only include a couple of shots in this video of our time at Supanova Sydney, but if you do want to check out everything that we got up to at the convention, I have also uploaded an event vlog for Sydnova itself, so feel free to go check that out. I am also very proud of how these cosplays came together. It was also my first time creating a prop weapon from scratch, and there are definitely things that I look back on and would change during the process, but I know for next time. It was a lot of fun, and I loved how my interpretation of these characters finally came to life.
Hello friends, I am back from Supanova. I realized I never showed the full outfit, apart from maybe I assume I included some videos and photos within the vlog itself. But here is my full Diane outfit. The collar ended up coming together quite well, and I like how stand out this logo is. I ended up wearing this type of bra, even though it's not a part of her outfit anyway. She also wears a backpack, but I realized that I don't have a brown backpack, so I included the brown straps of my underbust corset just to, I don't know, give it a little bit more character, and I like how it kind of looked with the cosplay anyway. The contacts look good, especially with the makeup, and I'm happy with my fringe that I cut myself, so it all kind of came together quite well. And then in terms of like boots, these are my boots. Please ignore the messy carpet, but these are the boots that I bought. They were like Big W, like $39 I think. Very easy. And then I did draw her tattoo on my tights, because these are leggings, in makeup. So this was just like a liquid blush and then some eyeshadow over the top just to get that coloring. It is a little bit smudged. I don't know if you guys can really tell, but yeah, it came together quite nicely. I also left my hammer in the car, so I can't show you the full final product of that, although you guys have seen the process of it, and I'm sure if I included videos from the Supanova event vlog, you would be able to see what it looks like. I also am missing the gauntlet. That's also in the car, so that's the final outfit without the gauntlet and the hammer. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video on how I made mine and Alex's outfits. I don't have a full video of him in it, but I will include some photos as well. Yeah, it came together really well. I'm very happy with it. It still did feel rushed, even though I worked on it for the course of a month, but I'm not gonna argue. It turned out all right, and I got a lot of people asking questions and getting photos and things like that too. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope I did Diane and King justice, and I hope to see you all in the next cosplay making video. Bye bye!